Hey Jesse, so I wanted to show you basically a quick way to model. Well, I was thinking of breaking this into two parts, how to model the table you kind of showed me, and then how to give it um, like images as its texture. So that's just like a picture of wood on the floor and it's textured around that object. So we'll just open up a new scene. So the easiest way is start with this box. I'm going to, sorry I can't show you the screen keys, but to scale it, I'm going to hit S, and then I want to hit X to scale it on the X. And then I'm going to go into edit mode by hitting, you can click it here, or you can just hit tab. I know I'm in edit mode because I can like now see vertices. So I'm going to select face select mode and select this face, and I want to inset it by hitting I. So as you can see, like now it's behaving, it's not insetting really the way I'd like to. I want it to be even. So the reason for that is because when I just scale it like this, if I open up the properties, you can see like it's scaled on the X 3.9 units. So I want to apply that scale. So you can hit spacebar and type in apply object transform, and I want to do scale, and it sets that scale back to 1. If you do scaling in edit mode, so I'm in edit mode now, that scale will automatically stay to 1, and usually you want your scale to be at 1. And now let's select this face, hit I, and now because it's scaled at 1, it's like even all around. So we'll do about to there, and now I'm going to extrude it in. Just hit E and it should automatically, I'm not sure how far, I don't want it to break through the back, but let's say you break through the back, um, just grab it on the y-axis and push it in a bit. Okay, so that's pretty good. Just to give it the appearance of trim, I'm going to do a loop cut, Control R. I'm going to select and bring it up to about here. I'm going to go into face select mode. And if you want to select just the whole ring, like if you want to, you'll notice if I hold Alt and click one face, if I click it here, it's going to loop all the way around the back. But if I click it like where these two faces meet, it's going to go in that direction. So now I want to extrude that edge up. So if I hit E to extrude, it does something kind of weird. So if I right click to cancel the scaling and hit S to scale it, it still kind of scales a little weird. Strangely, if you hit Alt S, I think that's called shrink or flatten. I don't know. It scales evenly. So now we have that like nice edge. So the way I did that was I hit, I had that edge selected. I hit E to extrude. I just right click to cancel the scaling or the movement, and then hit Alt S to scale it evenly. So E, Alt S. Cool. And then, okay, so you also mentioned like normally you make objects and then join them. So that's another way you can work in Blender. If let's right click here. And so now I'm in object mode. So I'm going to make a totally new separate object. Shift A to add. I'm going to add a cylinder, and I don't need that many vertices. Let's just do 16. I want to scale it, but keep these scales at 1. So I'm going to go into edit mode with tab and just hit S to scale a bit. And you can constrain how you scale. If I only want to scale on the X axis, I hit, if I only want to scale on the Y. If you want to scale on everything but the Z, I'm in scale mode and I held Shift Z, and now I can scale on everything except Z. And I'm bringing it down. Notice how this orange dot right here is its origin. When I move it around in edit mode, the origin stays fixed. And now if I were to like scale it, it scales into that origin. We'll work with that origin later when we add the mirror modifier. So we'll drag that leg down a bit. I'm going to go into first view and orthographic view. front view I mean, and I'm going to go into right view, and that's kind of what the table looked like to me. I'm going to select everything with A and slide it that way a bit, and I'm going to shrink this foot a tad. A couple things you can do. You can add smooth shading to that leg, and it's not perfect because we lowered some of the vertices, but it's still pretty good. So if you want to add the mirror modifier, if you were to just add it right now, it's based on where that origin is. So mirror, and it looks weird. So I'm going to put that, first I'm going to center my cursor. You can do, basically it's called snap. So if you type in snap, it's also one of my favorite things is Shift+S is to snap. And I want to do cursor to center. So now my cursor's in the center, and I want to change where that origin is. So type in spacebar origin, or let's see, I usually use set origin. So it's the craziest shortcut. You hold Shift, Control, Alt, and C. You need 2 hands for that. And then you get to set the origin at the 3D cursor. But you can also just type spacebar, set origin. And then you click that and it's like, well, where do you want to set it? At the 3D cursor. So with the origin set at the 3D cursor, the mirror modifier is working along the X axis, and now it's working along the Y axis. And then I could join this to the box, but I'm not going to do that yet. So there are a couple ways to give your object materials. Basically, if you try to give it a material right now, like a picture, it's not going to know how you want that picture wrapped across this. So often what people do is they'll unwrap this object. They'll do a UV unwrap. So I'm splitting the viewer by clicking this thing up here. I'm going to close the toolbar, close the properties, and I'm going to select here and go into UV image editor. So basically, to unwrap an object in edit mode, you hit U to unwrap, and if I just click unwrap, it doesn't really know. It just makes a bunch of squares. So the best way is to create seams, and it's like, imagine if you were to cut this up on paper. So I'm going to select these 2 edges. I'm in edge select mode. I'm holding Shift, select those. I'm going to select those, and I think I'm just going to select the whole border around. So I'm holding Alt and Shift because I'm holding Shift to select more, and I'm holding Alt because I want to go around the whole border. In wireframe mode Z, you can see what my selection is. Now if I go to like you can select things here, you can do keyboard shortcuts, but in Mesh, if you go to Edges and you say Mark Seam, and I'm going to deselect everything with A, you can see there's like a red line. And those are basic, imagine those are like cut marks. So if I select everything and hit unwrap, now I have something a little different. And let's add to the seams here. I'm holding Shift, Alt, and Click, and I'll just hit Control E is to automatically go into edge mode, mark seam. So let's see what happens now. And let's Alt, hold Shift, Alt, mark seam. So this is kind of what you want. You want things to look somewhat even. And the reason for that is I'm going to open up, I've already got some wood materials. I think I can just drag it in. Yeah. So here's a picture of wood. And if I go and if I select everything, okay, and click over here, open up my wood picture. This is how I should be in cycles render, by the way. I'm going to use nodes, and let's see, what's the easiest way to do this? I'm going to go into my node editor, and I'm going to add Shift+A an image texture. And I'm going to add this floor, plug it in. So you don't see anything at the moment. Not in rendered mode you do, so in solid, or you can go to texture mode. So with everything selected, if I go into this here and select my like paper cutout, I can scale it, I can move it around, I can rotate it. And so basically, however you unwrap your image is one way to tell the program how to, basically how to stretch it across the object. Another way is if you just click, let's click this object, I'm going to do new material, and I'm going to select that material we already made, but I don't want to start modifying this or it's going to change, the one we already made. I just unplugged it and now it's going to affect both now. So in order to get around that, there's a little 2 here, which means 2 users are using it, the legs and the body. So click the 2 button and now I can modify this one without hurting the other. So if I go into texture, textured mode, we can see I'll add input texture coordinates, and instead of using the UV map, we can just use, we'll try using generated, and let's see if it does anything. It seems to do something. We can also use object, and instead of a flat image, we'll make it a box. And that, this is just different ways to, but probably the best way is to just unwrap this. And that's why I didn't apply and join it yet, because if I unwrap this one, I just selected that edge, do mesh, where's edges, mark seam, and then I'm going to select this, mark seam, and I'm in wireframe mode with Z, mark seam, unwrap. So now it's like cut those 2 circles, and I can like rotate it with the grain and scale it up. Now, I'll just go back to this material. Sorry, I'm moving kind of fast. So basically what I did was, we were making this other material, and I said, it doesn't need a new material. It can be, I can use the exact same material as this, at least for now. So over here, I just swapped it back to, because we still have 2 objects. We have our legs and this, and now they're using the same material, but let's join them now. So let's apply the mirror modifier, which means now it's like I have actually 4 legs that are unwrapped, and I can hold shift with those legs selected, click the box, and then hit Control J, and now they are one object. So I guess in the next one I'll show you how you can create variants of that texture. So like if you wanted to paint the sides dark,